Take a little look at the NFC East, go around some NFL news today. We told you earlier, Carson Wentz, NFC Player of the Week, Offensive Player of the Week, although I guess the way he's going, he might be the Player of the Week anyway. Amani Toomer, NBC Sports Radio, the 24/7 live sports talk network. You can listen to it at NBCSportsRadio.com. Download the NBC Sports Radio mobile app today. He hosts Going Deep 10 to 1 with our old buddy Dan Schwartzman on NBC Sports Radio. Amani, I mean, yeah, Carson Wentz, his name, it seems like it's everywhere right now. He just got named NFC Offensive Player of the Week. Not the Rookie of the Week, Offensive Player of the Week. Should people out there be a part of the Wentz wagon?
I think Wentz wagon it's catching on. A lot of followers are jumping on it, but I'm just very cautious. I think that I've seen a lot of quarterbacks come and go. You remember Vince Young had a great start to his career. So did RG3. 3 games does not a career make. 3 games does not a year make. But the amount of information that we have and what he's shown on the field, I have to admit, has been impressive. But for a defensive coordinator to really, I think what's going on here is the Eagles, because they had a new coach, they had more training camps. They're further ahead than other teams because of the new coaching rules, where you can have a couple more mini camps, you can have a couple extra practice time, especially with the way that the NFL is now in terms of how you have to the limited amount of practices. That gives them advantage, and also gives the Eagles an advantage, the fact that there's not a lot of film on what they're doing with the new coach. I remember when Coach Coughlin came with the Giants, nobody knew what we were doing for a while. We were hitting our first reads. We were, we were basically playing against teams that didn't know how to play us. 3 games in, 4 games in, they started to have enough information to really dig deep and, evaluate and game plan for us. And I think that's kind of where we are right now. And these next couple of weeks, I think, to me, are going to be very important for Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles because of the fact that they are going to be exposed for what they do.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point you just made about the lack of film on not only Wentz but also Peterson, who did not really call a lot of plays in Kansas City. You played with Eli Manning, I'm sure a guy who preparation was probably all the way at the top of the list of intangibles. And I wonder, as a wide receiver, how important is it that your quarterback is that prepared? Because it seems that he's bringing out some more, in these receivers who really struggled last year. Even though they still have some drop issues, it seems that these receivers look more advanced. And I wonder how much of that is because the quarterback is so prepared.
I think everybody has to be prepared. I think a lot of people overanalyze quarterbacks, and they give way too much quarterbacks. I think the old adage in the NFL locker room is quarterbacks get more adulation when you win and more blame when you lose. And that's kind of just accepted around the locker room because, there's a lot that goes into football, and I don't think quarterbacks are the end-all, be-all. I think it's an overrated position personally, and I think that, the entire team is playing at a higher level. I think I remember playing for Dan Reeves and then the next year playing for Jim Fossil, and just what we were allowed to do with Jim Fossil just opened up and let us show our talent. We had rules that really held us in check under Dan Reeves. So it could be the system. I don't think it's the quarterback. I think a lot of it more has to do with the fact that people don't know their route tree quite yet. They don't really understand what they're trying to do and what they like to do. So they're playing them more honest. I think that was one of the reasons why this team has come off to such a great start. I remember with Tom Coughlin, when he first came to the Giants, I think we were 3-1 and we were talking about going to the playoffs. We were really, we were, I think 4-1 or 5-1. We were a team that everybody was shocked that we were the number 1 seed in the NFC for a short period of time, and then of course reality hit in and we lost 8 games in a row. So I wouldn't be surprised if that happens to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I just say, if you're an Eagles fan, enjoy the moment. but hold on, it might get rough.
Spoken like a true giant. Amani Toomer here is with us from NBC Sports Radio.
No, I mean, it's true.
No, you're right. I mean, there's a lot of the Falcons last year. What were they, 6-1, and then all of a sudden the other shoe drops. I mean, it's a long season. People gain film. People get healthy. It's a war of attrition out there. Healthy means a lot. Look at Houston. They're 2-1. I'm sure that's a different Houston team you're getting prepared for now without J.J. Watt all of a sudden.
You're exactly right. So it's, it's great. I mean, and if you're a Philadelphia Eagle fan, you have every opportunity and every right to get excited. But I just think you should temper it. You hear all these urban legend stories. Ooh, Carson Wentz, he was at a date with his girlfriend and he was watching film. Who cares, man? I mean, I don't know. Nobody else watches film. Only Carson Wentz watches film. It's ridiculous.
That's pretty funny. Amani, let me ask you about then if we're getting off Wentz and saying, look, there's film and they'll catch up to him and he's a rookie, he's going to hit the bumps. I think a lot of people probably can agree with that. But what about Jim Schwartz's defense? What do you see from them that maybe, if you're going to believe in this team, should it be because of that side of the ball?
Well, their defense has definitely been impressive. I mean, for them to stop the highest flying offense in the league and the Pittsburgh Steelers last week, extremely impressive. I just think that, maybe they were underrated with their talent because, Cox in the middle is a beast. They got a lot of great players on that team. I just think that they weren't able to really play defense last year under the Chip Kelly system. I think those 3-and-outs, just the amount of snaps that they had to play over the last couple of years really wore them down. And I think now they're playing like an ordinary defense and getting the ordinary snaps because of the ball control that Peterson is in the offensive side of the ball is giving them. I think that they're playing with house money right now. I feel like they're like, wow, this is the way normal defenses play. We can show how actually good we are. So I think it's a combination, just like anything in football. It's never one thing. It's usually 2-3 things lumped together, and that's what makes it a great team game, and that's what makes the game that I love to play and I love to watch, and it's because it's the ultimate team game.
All right, I want to get your thoughts. Washington and New York in that game, what were some of the Giants' problems? Are they a one-week thing, or is there something we found in that game? Because they look good on defense the first 2 weeks of the year. What'd you take from that game about New York moving forward against the Redskins, who kind of saved their season? The Giants really could have put the knockout blow on them.
They really could have, and that's why I was so disappointed after that game, and I really wasn't impressed with Ben McAdoo's press conference. This is a guy that just lost his first game at home in the division for his career in this season, and he was just, it's 1 of 17, it's 1 of 16, let's just move on. I understand you have to be that way. I understand you can't let anybody see you sweat, but just maybe I'm looking a little too far into it. Maybe, I'm used to a different type of emotion, but I don't know how well that would have resonated with me if I was in that locker room. The coach just saying, we're moving on right after the game before you kind of absorbed what happened this game. Because the fact of the matter is they lost the game. They say more games are lost in the NFL than won because more games teams perform badly with 3 turnovers, really poor red zone execution, 100 yards in penalties. You're not going to win many games. And for the fact that it was only a 2-point game is shocking. I think that they, had a block punt that was, negated because of a stupid penalty. They got their starting center kicked out of the game. I'm not saying that Washington didn't do anything to win that game, but I think the Giants did a better job of helping them win that game and stay in that game. And that's the reason why I was so disappointed with that loss. Doing the post-game show for the Giants was hard to do because they looked like they had turned the corner from last season, and then they come back and lose another fourth-quarter lead.
Last one for you. We'll look at the NFC East as a whole. You got Dallas with the rookie quarterback. You got Philadelphia with the rookie quarterback. You've got a guy on a hoping, on that franchise deal for 1 year, and then you got Eli Manning. Kind of give us your overview after 3 weeks of how wide open do you think the East is, or is there starting to be some identity in the division?
I think it's wide open right now. I mean, you got down in Dallas, you don't know what Dak Prescott is going to be. You don't know what that team is going to be. Our team's going to be able to get to that defense and exploit some of the weaknesses, even though they're getting some of their pass rushers back. Then you go to Philadelphia, there's a complete question mark, because of the fact that it's a new coach, a new system. We don't know how well it travels. They haven't had an injury bug, and that's the ultimate X factor. But the fact that in Washington they've gotten off to a very slow start, that they are a strong team, they haven't really played well, didn't really play that well last week, even though they did get the victory versus the Giants. I think it's too early to tell. I think everybody is kind of held serve, and that's kind of where it is right now. We're just, it's just kind of like, the first game in a long tennis match, and it's everybody has one win, everybody has two wins, and everybody's just trying to feel each other out. The first two rounds of a boxing match, everybody's kind of looking at each other, licking their wounds, seeing where they are, and I really can't call it for right now. Every team seems to be to improved. And that's one of the things I could say consistently about every team in the NFC.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. The teams, especially Dallas, who lost the quarterback last year and was a disaster. They had so many injuries. The Giants look better on defense. I think the division is much improved. Amani Toomer, everybody here on the Sports Bash, former Giant, now NBC Sports Radio. And you can check him out at NBCSportsRadio.com with Dan Schwartzman. Going Deep is 10-1 tonight. Thanks, Amani.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
You got it. Appreciate yours. And Amani's getting his insight here on the Sports Bash.